All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to explore a philosophy called Pragya Pravachan. Now, this is an ancient way of looking at the world, but you'll see it has a surprisingly spot-on diagnosis of our modern times, and maybe, just maybe, a blueprint for where we go from here.
I mean, you've probably felt it, right? That feeling that things are just a little off-kilter. That the foundations of our world feel kinda unsteady. Well, according to this philosophy, that's not just you. It's a reflection of some very real symptoms playing out all around us.
And look, according to this way of thinking, these aren't just random, disconnected problems. You've got widespread conflict, a sense that we're losing our core values, this deep inner turmoil that seems to be spreading everywhere, and just a general feeling of social disorder. These are all seen as symptoms of a much deeper imbalance. They're basically smoke signals telling us an era desperately needs to change.
Okay, so let's unpack this first big idea, this whole concept of a world being out of balance. The core teaching here is pretty simple, actually. Civilizations, just like anything else, decay over time. And when that decay gets bad enough, they need a hard reset. I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Just think about it for a second. You wouldn't let dust and dirt pile up in your house for years and years, would you? Of course not. You sweep it, you clean it. Well, in the exact same way, societies build up their own kind of grime. Things like injustice, corruption, and just plain old outdated beliefs. And eventually, you get to a point where a light dusting just isn't going to cut it anymore. You need a deep, structural renewal. So, if societies need a reset, what does that actually look like? Well, what's so fascinating here is that this philosophy points to this recurring pattern all throughout history. When things get to a breaking point, some kind of powerful, transformative force shows up to restore the balance. It's often seen as a sort of divine intervention, a divine reset. And we see this pattern pop up again and again in the form of avatars. I mean, think about Matsya, who helped humanity survive the Great Flood, or Narasimha, who showed up to deal with a tyrant king. Then you have Rama, who established the rule of righteousness, or Dharma, Krishna, who guided everyone through a massive war, and of course Buddha, who started a complete revolution in human thought. Each one was a very specific solution for the crisis of their time. And you can really see the pattern here, right? It was never a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. When the problem was straight-up tyranny, the solution was a powerful, unstoppable force like Narasimha. When the issue was a widespread breakdown of dharma, or just righteous living, you needed the strategic and moral guidance of Krishna. And when people's spiritual understanding itself was getting twisted, well, then Buddha appeared to spark a revolution in how we think. The solution always fit the problem of the age. So, that brings us to the big question. What's the unique problem of our time? This is where things get really interesting, because the argument is that our challenges today, they're just a different beast altogether. We are in a totally new kind of age.
Our time is called a Buddhi Pradhan Yug, which basically means an age dominated by the intellect. Think about it. Our biggest battles aren't being fought with swords and shields anymore. They're being fought in the world of ideas, of beliefs, of ideologies. All that chaos and dysfunction we see out there, it's really just a symptom of a deeper chaos and dysfunction in our collective thinking.
And that leads to a really crucial point. If the problem is rooted in our thought, then the solution has to be found in our thought too, right? A single hero or a new political party can't fix a problem that literally lives inside the minds of billions of people. What we need is nothing short of a revolution in consciousness.
So, if we're not waiting for some single person to write in and save the day, then what is the answer? And this, right here, is probably the most powerful idea in this whole philosophy. The avatar for our time. Well, it isn't a person at all. It's a form of elevated wisdom, an awakened consciousness that's actually accessible to every single one of us.
And this awakened consciousness has a name, Ritamhara Pradna. It's basically an enlightened wisdom, a state of mind that can see absolute truth. Now, this isn't just about being book smart or having tons of information. It's something way deeper, born from mixing two really powerful human qualities together.
And here they are, the two pillars. First, you've got Vivek. This is that sharp, crystal-clear ability to tell truth from falsehood, to cut through all the noise, the propaganda, and our own excuses. But just seeing what's wrong isn't enough, right? That can just make you cynical. That's why it needs its partner, Shraddha. This is the unwavering faith, that deep conviction, to not just see the truth, but to actually live it, to act on it with courage, even when it's scary or difficult. One without the other is incomplete. It just doesn't work. Okay, so this enlightened wisdom is the answer. That's a huge concept. But how do we actually do it? How do we bring it to life on a global scale? This is where we get to the call to action, the what now part of it all. The big idea here is that this awakening isn't some exclusive club for gurus on a mountaintop. Nope, this is a mission for everyone. It's a collective journey called the Pragya Pravachan, which means the mission of wisdom. It basically frames the healing of our world not as a spectator sport, but as something we all have to get involved in.
I mean, this quote from the text just says it all, doesn't it? It's this powerful reminder that we're not supposed to just sit around and wait for one person or one hero to fix everything. The real power and the real responsibility lies with all of us, together. True change happens when a lot of people, all tapping into this higher wisdom, decide to work together.
And this really just brings it all home, you know? The wisdom itself is ancient, it's timeless. But the mission, it's happening right now, in our lifetime. And at the end of the day, the responsibility to awaken this wisdom in ourselves and in our world, well, that's on us.
So, we'll leave you with this to chew on. The whole premise here is that an era is ultimately defined by the quality of its collective thought. So the question we all have to ask ourselves is, what kind of thinking, what ideas, and what level of consciousness will we choose to define our era?